All right, I am live, YouTube. I'm just gonna get on um, TikTok, and it's not gonna be like yesterday. Okay, so today I want to talk about. I want to tell you how even if you're in a place of overperforming, pretending, over functioning as a high achiever, especially when it looks like everything is fine on the outside, but you don't feel that good or you feel off on the inside, that there's still small wins that can give you hope or that should give you hope. And I want to show you why those little moments matter more than anything, because that used to be me. So I'm looking here because I'm on YouTube Live as well. And oh, yeah. So if you have ever had that where even a tiny, tiny shift ended up feeling like proof that maybe things could be different, I want you to know that it's true. It doesn't have to be this this huge things that happen or these huge discoveries that happen. There's hope even in the little things, right? So again, high achieving women who have felt things were off, there's hope for you. There's hope for you, and I want to share from my experience and my perspective, and give you some hacks that you can use to make those shifts as well. So yesterday I shared the reason why I'm doing the work that I'm doing, why I'm working with high achieving Black women in particular who have felt societal and cultural pressures to perform, and who in doing that internalized the whole performance and felt that they just weren't worthy unless they continued to overachieve, overfunction, and to perform or pretend. Because it's really easy when you start off doing things and when a lot of your internal feelings are, when you align your internal feelings with external validation, it's really easy to go down that rabbit hole where you feel that unless you're doing something, being something, or being doing something really, you're not worthy. And so you equate worthiness with external validation, praise, degrees, homes, money, trips, and travels. While again, all those things aren't bad, they are not a sign of worthiness, or you don't need to do those things to feel worthy. So I shared that my why was watching my mom, who at 59 passed away from two cancers, and how that really got me thinking about the fact that if I didn't stop with my pursuits of external validation, external successes, I would end up, or I could potentially end up, just living a life that was truly unfulfilling and purposeless, beyond just saying I had this and I had that. Because really, at the end of the day, who wants to go through life and all that you're remembered for? What you're remembered for mostly is that you had shoes and bags and you had degrees and you traveled and all that. That is, to me, and you want to enjoy those things, but you don't want your whole entire purpose in life to be about just from a perspective of somebody who accomplished and did things. There's certainly more. I didn't want my legacy to just be about accomplishing things. So that, just watching her was the catalyst, so to speak, that got me to really think about what I was doing and how I had inadvertently become someone who was seeking validation externally and connecting that validation to performance and doing things. So today is me sharing with you that there's hope, that even as a recovered or recovering overperformer, there was hope for me, and the hope was in the small wins. So there's hope for you also. I'm going to share about the hope that comes when you make that decision to stop putting or equating your worth with doing things and being a performative person. When you make the decision to live life on your own terms and stop putting people's needs above yours or putting people over you, and stop, most importantly, seeking validation from just doing things, and start to feel worthy just as you are. There's hope when you make that decision. Because if you've ever wondered, is there a way out of this? These small wins that I'm going to share, even though there are no real small wins, a win is a win. They are proof that there is. So anyway, one of the first small wins for me was, I remember a trip with a girlfriend, for her 50th. It was in Dubai, or 40th at the time. Um, she 50th, I'm sorry, yeah, 40th, we went somewhere. I was still in my people low key people pleasing era. Um, you know, besides the fact that I was I was feeling like I needed to change things up. The timing sucked. I couldn't really afford it in that sense. And I just thought, here I am with somebody who I don't really want to be with. You know what I mean? So what I did was I decided to honor myself, because I really didn't feel like going. And I mentioned that the timing sucked, but I really didn't feel like going. So instead of the typical yes that I would have said, just because I wanted to show up for someone else's expectations, I said no. And it was uncomfortable because, again, when you've been conditioned for so long to keep just dishonoring yourself and honoring others at the cost of honoring, or honoring others at the cost of dishonoring yourself, saying yes to others. Remember, truly, honestly, whenever you say yes to something that is not what you want to do, you're saying no to yourself. And converse is the same thing. So always remember that. That helps too, even now. When the inclination is to say yes, are you saying no to yourself when you say that yes? If it's yes, yes, then you're good to go. But if there's a slight, if it's not a full body embodied yes, then more than likely you're saying no to yourself. It's helpful to keep that in mind, and it's a quick way to just check, like, is this something that I want to do, or is this something that I'm doing because it's expected of me, or because I don't want to disappoint this person, or because I'm just going along to get along. So it was uncomfortable saying no to her. My chest was tight. My stomach was all cramped, and I was like, what if she's mad? What if this is the end? But you know what? I said no. And that night was like a night where I was really proud of myself. I know it's you're wondering, like, a big old age of 50 something, feeling proud because you said no. But if you're like I was, where almost half of my adult life was spent pleasing and seeking and doing and explaining and, just pleasing people, it was a big, big win. And I felt, so I was like, wow, there is hope. So if you've ever had a moment like that where the relief came after you said no, I would love to hear from you. Share, let me know. Win number two was have a conversation, right? With a friend, another friend who asked me for a favor. And again, in the past, I would have said yes even without thinking. Do this. And I tell myself, um, if I don't do it, I'm not honoring my word. It was like a double-edged sword where I still went along because I felt like if I didn't, I would be dishonoring myself. So it's crazy, even though the original situation is because I dishonored myself. So I would still go. But anyway, so she asked me for this favor, and I said no. I normally have said yes, but this time I was like, you know what? I can't this time. Those were my exact words. And again, this felt like I was climbing a mountain. I really felt like my nervous system was, I was not shaking, but it took a lot. But again, in that moment, I realized that I don't always have to perform or overextend myself. And in this case, though, as opposed to the first one, she was like, oh, okay, no problem. And just moved on. So I was like, oh my God, imagine this. Here I was, like, shaking, quivering like a child, just to say I can't do this. And for her, it was like, you know what? No problem. And that was it. I'm like, so this is really what it is when people say you have to stand in integrity and stand in alignment, and how people truly respect you when you say what you mean. So second win, right? Have you ever caught yourself saying yes when you wanted to say no? Let me know. And then the third win was a bit of a private one. It had more to do with me than anyone else. And I want to say, probably because it was all about me, me versus me in a sense, it was the most powerful win that I had. Um, so I was looking at myself in the phone, the camera, just looking at myself. And instead of criticizing myself, I thought, you know what? You're trying, Jite. You're actually trying. Where you are is where you are. You're honoring yourself. You're doing okay. And yeah, you're allowed to be who you are at the time in the way you are. Novel thoughts. It didn't feel like a big thing, but it really opened the door to the whole concept of self compassion and self love. Again, we think we love love ourselves. We think we're compassionate because we go for pedicures, we do spas, and we do all those things. But truly, you don't honor yourself. You're not compassionate to yourself. You're not really feeling worthy until you start honoring yourself in the way you show up and in the things you say and in how you be, right? Versus the external things. So that really opened up the door for me. And yeah, I kind of, it took off from there. So have you ever given yourself a small ounce of grace where you, even though maybe you weren't where you thought you'd be, or you didn't do something that you wanted to do, or you said you do, but at the end of the day, you were just like, okay, whatever, this is it, you know? And if you haven't, it's time to start. This is your friendly reminder that it's your time. Because the truth is, transformation begins very subtly, like it's in the small things, taking back your time, saying no when you feel like saying no, right? Um, leaving a party or leaving at a function when you feel like leaving it, as opposed to waiting. Not being agreeable when you really don't care for whatever was said. It's not the huge fireworks. It's usually the small things, basic mundane things that we say that are the precursors to being transforming, experiencing transformation. Resting when you would normally just push through and go ahead. Um, Giving compassion to yourself, treating yourself. Here's a good one: treating yourself like you would a friend. Like another hack that I share with my clients is: would you say the things that you're saying to yourself to somebody that you cared for? Would you do the things that you're doing to yourself to somebody that you care for or that you love? If you wouldn't, then you have no business doing it or saying it to yourself. You are your first person. Because if you don't love yourself truly, how can you love anyone else? You know, that's a big concept that many of us spend years and years and years grappling with understanding. You cannot truly love yourself, if love others, if you don't love yourself. I know we say we do things and we're there and we show up, but those are not really things that are indicative of how much value and esteem and love we have for ourselves. So I'm going to ask you right now, as I wrap up, what's one small win that you've had recently, even if no one noticed it, even if you were like me, feeling it was a big deal, and whoever was involved didn't even was just like, okay, I'll move on. What is one small win? Maybe it's saying no. Maybe it's resting when you would have otherwise gone. Maybe it's putting down something when you would have taken it on yourself. Maybe admitting to yourself even that something's not working, a relationship that you would have continued to push and drag along. What's one small win? What's one small win that you've had lately? Let me know. And that's it for today. Tomorrow I'm going to be sharing an obstacle that I had. My goal is to go 30 days and take you through the whole experiential journey. It's an obstacle that I had that almost wiped me out, but and how I find my way through it. It's one that you don't want to miss. And of course, I'm going to offer you my High Achievers Guide. Again, it's a resource that has 3 small steps that walk you through how to stop feeling the need to perform for worthiness, how to start to feel worthy just as you are. No, it sounds like it's a small thing, but in my work with high achieving Black women, one of the biggest things that I have seen and continue to see is how we feel that we have to just keep doing and earning and performing and over functioning because we almost don't know ourselves if we're not doing that. If you strip away degrees, careers, trips, activities, all these different things, some of us do not like to be alone with ourselves, don't know how to be alone with ourselves, don't even know what we really want. Once those things are removed, or once those things are not there for us to keep doing, it's a big thing. And so the guide is, while it's not the entire thing, but it's a first step in really just evaluating what is happening and being able to identify that, you know what? The reason that I have gone after job, the reason that I've chased this and chased that is really because I didn't know what I wanted. Because everyone told me or showed me that this is or this is what I needed to do in order to be valuable, in order to be successful. I really was just carrying on, internalizing the version of success that people showed me and people told me I needed to in order to feel like I was accomplishing something, in order to feel like at the end of my life it wasn't wasteful. Now I see. And once you see, you can't unsee. So the guide on TikTok, it's fulfilledblackwoman.com. It's really simple but really potent. And YouTube, the link is below this video. So I'll see you folks tomorrow. Take care. Ciao.